Good morning, everybody. So yes, as Holly mentioned, today is all about the portal. This is probably the first time I present anything where I don't have any slides. So this is all going to be a live demo on our portal. We all know what that means. It can go wrong. Hopefully it won't, but here we go. You should hopefully see my screen. So obviously, this is not the portal, this is the website, but that's the easiest way to find our portal. You can either just go to portal.linx.net or just click on the link on our website. Now, the portal is really the main, but by now, over the years, it has become the main way that you can interface with the services that we provide to our members. But there's also some information that's accessible without having to log in. The main and probably the most used feature by the public, by people who aren't necessarily members, are the traffic statistics from all of our peering lands, which are very prominently visible on the portal and are accessible with some limitations, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. They are accessible without even have to log in. If you click on the link, it will get you deeper into it. It will allow you to change the period of the data that is shown, allow you to enable or disable if you only want to focus on one of our peering lands instead of all of them. You can do so quite easily. At any point in time. So these are accessible for everybody. You don't need a login to use them. And they certainly, especially whenever there are some major events potentially impacting the amount of traffic across the internet, people are certainly always going to look at the stats pages of the different internet exchanges, which is really interesting enough, the one of the only places, the traffic stats from internet exchanges that are publicly available and give everybody an insight into internet traffic flow. There are other functions which are available publicly. One is the detailed technical list of all of our members. Again, this is a tradition of pretty much all internet exchanges to make the list of who's connected at which bandwidth on the different exchanges publicly available. There's actually two ways of doing that. You can also, there is a common shared data format which initially got defined by EuroIX, now by the IX Foundation, which is a JSON formatted file, which gives you the same information, but in a structured file. If you want that, you can just go to portal.linx.net/members.json, and you will get that as a structured file. But for normal use, if you want to quickly access it, the information is all there. You can customize the list to a certain degree. You can also export it if you want to from here as a CSV file. The reason why I think it is quite useful here, the search ability is what makes this view probably the most interesting and probably underused to a certain degree. The search really allows you to search on anything. So if you're a member of LINX and you're troubleshooting an issue, or you see a certain MAC address on your router and you want to quickly find who it is, you can just search for any character in it. If you're looking for a specific member, you can just type it in. It will show you all of the ports that they have on the different LANs. You can filter it by peering LAN if you want to do so at any point in time. So it's quite an efficient way of finding the same way if you know their IP address, v4, v6, or if you want to quickly find members who are on the same match router that you are, you can just put it into the search field and very quickly make use of the list, which is otherwise, if you just strictly look at the list one by one, it is quite an extensive list, as it covers all of our peering LANs and every single customer member port across our LAN. You can see it's 194 pages, so there's 1,900, nearly 2,000 individual line items in there. So make use of the search function of it, and that makes that list very, very useful, either for troubleshooting or if you quickly want to see if you're not yet a member, well, are the networks that I care about, are they connected here? You can see it, you can search for it, but even especially also if you're a member, you can very quickly find all the information you need from a technical point of view about any member who's connected, at what bandwidth they're connected. It even gives you visibility if a member is directly connected or if he's connected through one of our partners, my partner program connections. It will show you in this case if they are directly connected or through a partner. The other area, which is not directly the portal, but it's accessible by the portal, it's the links to all of our looking glasses for both the root collector and the root servers. For those who don't know what's a looking glass, it basically gives you a web-based view of anything that's happening on the root server. If I go to our LINX root servers again, you will have access from here to all of the root servers on all of our peering LANs, on all of our fabrics. By definition, we will have two resilient root servers on each LAN. The way root servers are technically working, the IPv4 and IPv6 instances are separate. So what you will see for each LAN is both an IPv4 and IPv6 instance for each of the root servers. Selecting any one of them will just give you a nice quick and easy way to see the status of all the root server sessions which are up, which prefixes we are learning from the different members, and you can dig quite deeper into it. I'm not going to focus too much. We'll probably do a webinar just on about how most efficiently use the looking glass to troubleshoot network issues by using those for either the root collectors or the root servers. So I'm not going to spend too much time here. The software that we're using to provide this is called Alice Looking Glass. It's an open source software that is developed by a number of people, which are very closely linked to internet exchanges. So if I go back to the portal, this is pretty much the most function. You also have access to the events area. The main reason why these are here, the portal, as most of our events are obviously for our members. There are other events which, like this one, which are public, but most of the large majority of our events are for our members only, and as such, the registration is done through the portal. As all of our members will have a portal login to use, hopefully already, which probably brings me back to the beginning. So if you are a member and you don't have an account, two easy ways to get an account. You can just use the register function here. You will have to select your company you're working with who is a member. You will find them in the list, and I will kind of kick off a semi-automated process. The concept of how accounts are being added. LINX has the concept of every member has a guardian account, kind of a master account. So at least one employee of each member will have that guardian role, and as the name says, is guarding kind of the access to their services. He will have to approve it. The other way of doing it, if you know who the guardian is for your company, if you're an existing member, the guardian also can go onto the portal and add you an account. I'll show you that in a second. If you're not yet a member, but you're interested in becoming a member, that will also happen through the portal. There is a link on the website, of course, or there's also a link here, and you can basically start the application process if you want to become a member of LINX. Especially, obviously, if you're interested in any of the services we are offering. With that being said, let's log in and see what else the portal has to offer. Well, this is starting very well. Okay, let me do this correctly. Whoever said doing a live demo would it be a good idea? For those of you who already have a portal account, we obviously, I don't think it's currently mandatory yet, but we obviously highly encourage our members to enable two-factor authentication, which you really should do on any account, on any service that you're using, where you have a login and password. So this is the view that you're going to get once you have logged in. At the moment, I'm logged in as well as LINX, member LINX, which is a little bit of a weird one, since we're obviously, well, we're a member and we're not a member. We're clearly not a member. But nevertheless, I will use this for now. I'll afterwards do a little bit of trickery to show you some more data from either real members or from our test systems. So in this case here, you don't really see any data. As I said, our own services, while a lot of our own services are in here, and I'm going to use some of these as an example. But normally what you would see here would be your top 5 port services. A large number of our members have ports, multiple ports, either ports on different peering LANs or in different sites and different locations. And basically this graph is going to show you the top 5, either based on incoming traffic or outgoing traffic. Just gives you a quick direct overview of your services, and we'll talk much more about the stats area in relation to your services in a bit. Also, it has the same link to our overall aggregate traffic stats that you have access to when you're not logged in. The only difference here on the public version of these stats, as I've shown before, you can change the period either for show me the last week, the last month, the last year. If you're logged in, you can actually even go further. It allows you to customize the time period that you view. That's only accessible if you're logged in. On the rest of it, the overall structure, it's very simple. Like many web pages, we have a series of separate areas, and we're going to go through all of these in a second. You have some specific settings related to either your account or your company's account. We're also going to cover these in a second. And to the left of the site, it's really one of the main navigation to a number of the areas. And let's just simply start and go through all of these. So the first one, which I still think is a little bit to some degree unique to LINX, while as a membership organization, the service levels that we offer is kind of best effort. In the end, our members probably wouldn't let us continue going on providing the service if we wouldn't manage to do it. But we actually measure the service availability across all of our peering LANs, and we make the data for that accessible to our members through the portal. So at any point in time, you can see what the availability was. Again, this is real data. They probably don't look as good as I would want them to do. So the figure that you see here is normally the availability. So we measure the availability over months. If it was 100%, means there was no packet loss. There is some information here of how we actually measure this, how we actually define what it means if the network is available or not. Is this going to allow me to go back? Yes. And you can also click on on here to basically see the past availability. Now, these graphs probably look scarier than they should be. We're probably not doing ourselves a favor, since if you look at the scale here, so the graph is automatically scaled between the highest and the lowest. So even though this looks like a massive drop, this was actually a drop where we were still at 4 nines, just below 5 nines availability. So it looks much worse than it actually is. But the data is there, and in this case, Manchester, that is shown here. But yeah, the data is accessible for everybody at any point in time. So same here, this looks pretty much as bad, but actually if you see here, this was a really minor drop. We're probably not doing ourselves a favor by showing the graphs the way they are. So be careful when you look at them, but we're quite transparent there in what we make available to our members on here. Maybe just here, maybe let me, if you have any questions while I go through this, feel free to raise your hand or put a question in, and we'll comment. We'll certainly try to answer them. As there's so many different topics, if I leave it till the end, probably makes it harder. So don't hesitate to ask any questions should anything come up. If we continue here, the next area, those are just some direct links to some areas of the portal that are probably in use quite a lot by our members. So the first two is direct access to our aggregate traffic stats. I'm actually going to go a little bit back into them. Just again, as I mentioned before, so while on the public version, you can only switch between yearly, monthly, weekly, daily, and hourly graphs. But if you're logged in, it allows you to put a custom period of time in if you would want to look at a specific time period. And you can change it between basically the bit rate, i.e. gigabits per second, terabits per second, or basically packets per second. You can switch between the two. The LINX flow. So this is we're actually collecting the traffic data like pretty much most exchanges do through two different methods. One is your standard SNMP collected data, which really is just looking at counters on the interfaces, how much traffic there is. The other one is using NetFlow, IPFix, depending on the equipment, based data, which gives you flow data, more granular data for the traffic across our network. And in this case, as the service that we provide is basically a layer 2 service, that means we're collecting additional data instead of just purely how much traffic passes through an interface. It gives us data of source MAC address and destination MAC address, which is what we're using to provide you the peering stats that I'll show you in a second. So if we go back to here, there's a link to the members area, which is the same as you get on the top here. Again, you have a direct list to the same list of members that you can access when you're not logged in. So it's the exact same list with the exact same interface visible here. You can also see, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about PI, Private Interconnect. So Private Interconnect is service that we offer in both Telehouse and in Sovereign House, which is kind of a passive product which allows you to very quickly and efficiently have direct fiber connections between two members in the same building or in the same location, managed by LINX. So what this page shows you is basically which member is using LINX Private Interconnect, LINX PI, and in which building they are. So again, that allows you to very quickly find out if a member that you want to connect with, if he's using PI, if you're also using PI. You can see where they are, if they're in the same building that you are, or in Telehouse. Or you can also, I don't know, if you're in Telehouse East, you can simply do East, and they will show you a list of all of the members who are using PI in Telehouse East. So quite a quick, fast, and easy access if you're using PI, or if you're interested in using LINX PI, to show you who's already using it and in which buildings they are available for you to connect to. There is before I kind of skipped this one. I'm not gonna necessarily click on this, since in the end we're going to use the video later on and make it public. This is only accessible again as you are logged in. So this gives you our internal list of NOC contacts. So as part of the MOU, every member has to provide a 24/7 contact for operational questions, and also peering contact. So this will give you direct access to that. So it will give you the contact information that we have from our members to reach a potential member that you are peering with. If there are any operational issues, you can reach them through this contact here. Most of these are your standard contact information that probably publicly shared. Some of them might not be public, so I'm not gonna take the risk to publish any names or email addresses that might not be public. The last quick link is to kind of your invoice section. Unfortunately, we have to invoice you for some of the services that you take from us. You can also access it through the billing tab in the account section. Basically, and this again, I'm logged in as LINX as ourselves, so we don't invoice ourselves, so we don't see any invoices here. We don't have any overdue payments, which is good. But if you log in as yourself, and I come back to a little bit how you can control access to this in a second, but this will show you basically your past invoices, count invoices, and the status if they are paid in our system, if they're marked as being paid or not, or if they are overdue payments. Probably this probably isn't a good moment to mention that. In some, especially larger companies, they might have internal rules who has access to their billing information, to their invoices, and who doesn't. And you have control over that yourself. So if I look at account users, probably this is not the best. So let me limit this to myself. So if you're guardian for your company, you can pretty much modify all of these accounts, so you can add new users if you want to, but more importantly, you can also give these users certain roles. And while it's still an area of the portal where we're going to continuously expand the functionality of that, there are some roles which are being enforced. I mentioned the guardian role, which is a mandatory role. Anyway, anybody who has that role, and obviously, as I'm in this case here logged in as a guardian, I could modify these and add or remove roles either for my own account, obviously not the ideal case, but for any of the accounts. Some of the roles are at the moment purely informational. Other ones are actually already impacting the functionality that's available. I.e., if for somebody to see the invoices, if you have an account of your company, at the moment only users which have the role of billing or guardian has access to everything, will have access to the billing area, see the invoices. Again, that might be important for your company, might not be important for your company. The same way it's guardian who can approve new users, And Guardian is also the Guardian role, and you can give that to multiple users if required. The Guardian role is also the role that will have final approval for certain types of orders and so on. Another very important role is peering, the peering role as that is used in some of the areas to really nominate the peering contact that we're using to provide to other members. And there is the last but not least, as we're a membership organization, members have a vote. The voting rights can also be seen here. So let's go back to where we were. So which then leads us to the tools area. Again, some of these we have already seen, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. So here's a link to the looking glass, same way as they were accessible when you weren't logged in. The next part is quite an important one operationally. Like any network or any service provider, we do have to do maintenance work on our network, normally triggered around upgrades of capacity, adding additional routers. But it might also be to solve an issue, and unfortunately, it also happens that there might be unexpected outages on our network. The way in LINX how that works, the primary notification still is through the ops announce mailing lists, where again, hopefully every member is subscribed to. Per MOU, at least one person needs to be subscribed to. But you can also access any open or past outages and maintenance tickets through the portal, and probably gives you also a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more an efficient way to access these. So it doesn't matter if it's an active. So these are first you can filter it either focusing just on maintenances. So that's really information that we provide to you, that your service might be impacted or one of your peers' service might be impacted, or if there's an outage. So you can limit it. By default, it will show you both. There is no outage currently, but there is 4 maintenances that are scheduled over the next coming week. By definition, we give at least 7 days notice for any maintenance. So these are maintenance that are scheduled over the next couple of days. You can see all of the details for that maintenance that was visible in the email that went out. But more importantly, you can search on it, and a very relatively recent addition to the functionality is you can restrict this to only show you maintenances or outages that affected your company, your services, which is gonna reduce it. It will show you, in this case, their root server services. Again, if you're using the root servers, you would see those. If you're not using the root servers, they wouldn't show up for you. And otherwise, if it's like in this case, it's a maintenance which affects a single line card on an edge router. So only the members which are shown here, only the members which have services on that line card would see this maintenance in their list. If you enable this button, anybody else won't see them in that case. So again, quite a fast and efficient way to quickly check if there's currently a maintenance ongoing, if there's any maintenance scheduled, or if there was an outage and you just want to go back to them and find all of the details. You will always find it here. So quite an important and fast and efficient way. XP Watch, a tool that existed since forever on internet exchanges, as they're all layer 2 networks. So XP Watch is basically again, it initially was a very small little script which basically monitors layer 2 traffic across our peering LANs, which are layer 2 instances. We're still making the outcome of that script available most of the time. If the network is operating fine, it's probably not too much to see there, but it's quite interesting in case you suspect an issue. You can always have a look there what we see, especially in regards to layer 2 traffic across the LANs. Engineers still use it quite frequently. It becomes a little bit less important nowadays, the way layer 2 networks these days are provisioned in the era of EVPNs and so on. Some of the broadcast traffic and so on is probably not as visible anymore in here, but nevertheless they're still accessible at any point in time for any members. There is a link to some of the IX API documentation, and it's also the place if you are a user of IX API, and again, that probably is a topic for a webinar on its own, what you can do with IX API. So IX API is an API standard defined by a number of internet exchanges, mainly originally started by M6, DKIX, and us at LINX. To have a common defined API to access services on internet exchanges, allowing you to order services, view services, cancel services, and since more recently also give you access to your traffic stats data through API calls. So if you use it, you obviously need API keys so you can manage these through the portal by yourself. But as I say, I'm not gonna go into details of IX API here. LINX routes, this is also a bit of historical graphs that we're still maintaining. They're still of interest to some people. Basically, what these graphs are, these are graphs data that we collect from our collector. More specifically, actually, this comes from the LON1 collector. The way root collectors, every member will have a session to the root collector. Again, it's an MOU requirement to have it, and normally members announce all of their prefixes to the collector. It's purely the collectors are mainly a troubleshooting tool, a monitoring tool for internet exchanges, but also for members to see which prefix they potentially could have for members which are connected. That's why we provide the looking glass to the root collectors, but we also collect the data of the total number of prefixes. So there's two lines here. One is is data that we collect from outside. It's the global the size of the global routing table, which over the years continue to grow, and the blue line is the number of prefixes that are visible on the LON1 collectors as part of a percentage of the total routing table. And last but not least in this area, it's a link to the stats graphs of our root servers. Again, mainly a troubleshooting tool. It gives you a direct view of what's happening on the root servers. By definition, as you open it, it's a combined graph showing you the number of sessions on all of the root servers. There isn't a surprise that depending on the size of the peering LAN, the ones at the top are going to be the LON1 root servers. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we operate 2 root servers per peering LAN by default. So this is RS1, RS3 on LON1. Very similar, again, which is how we want to see it, since obviously resilient, there's no benefit if we offer 2 resilient root servers if members would only use one. And as you can see here, members are quite good in making sure they have sessions on both of the root servers enabled. LON2 being the next one. So this basically is the number of sessions, number of prefixes that we receive, aggregate number of prefix that we receive on the different root servers, once for v4 and once for v6 on those. So again, sessions v4 and v6, prefixes v4 and v6. So these graphs show you the total overview. If you want to look more in detail about the specific root server that you care about, they are all accessible here. And this graph only has the LINX owned root servers peering lands in it. If you want to look at the root servers on JEDIX or on MengSIX, they are separate graphs as they are operated exchanges by LINX, but not LINX exchanges, so they're separate out here. So again, these are accessible from here. Two more small little functions. This will always show you a list of latest connected members, so new members which have connected so there might be a new member to peering LAN or new member, complete new member to LINX. They will always be listed here, and it gives you quite an easy view. If there might be somebody who wasn't connected before, but you might be interested in peering with them and you haven't seen that they actually are LINX member here. So this will always show you the last 5, and you can expand it here to show you, I think it's the last 10 connected members. Quite an interesting view, especially if you weren't aware if somebody joined and you might want to peer with them. The final one is specific again to your data, and it's just a quick summary of in relation to your peering traffic, who your largest peers were yesterday based on the amount of traffic exchanged, which then is probably a good topic, and I have to be cautious of time. So the next 2 areas are probably, even though I haven't talked at all about them yet, probably the most important one. It's the direct insight into your services and allowing you to order new services, change services, or cancel services. So on your services page, again, as mentioned before, I'm logged in here as LINX. So a lot of our services here are probably relatively non-standard services, but it doesn't matter for this. I can still show you the functionality. So what you will see by default, once you click on services, we will start with port services, which really is the majority of our services. And in the end, we're an internet exchange. Everything starts and ends with a port connected to one of our fabrics, one of our peering LANs. So what it will show you here is, depending on how many ports you have, and it will always be organized first by port. On each of the peering LANs, you will see them as a list, and you will see in this case here, this is a physical port, and it has a Microsoft Azure peering service connected onto it. Now, this might become, especially, well, there are probably very few members which have as many ports as LINX, since this shows the number of infrastructure ports that aren't real. But nevertheless, even if you have multiple ports, again, similar as a lot of the other list views of either services, or I showed you the member details, make use of the search function, which is quite efficient. So if I know I only care about ports which actually have a peering service on it, in this case, in the case of LINX, there is only one, which is in our systems here. So it will show you straight away this one, which has a peering service, in this case, peering service on LAN 1. And for any service, it doesn't really matter if it's a peering service, if it's a private VLAN, if it's a closed user group, or a Cloud Connect service. The main function here is it gives you direct access, well, first, direct access to the details of your service, but also direct access to traffic graphs, SNMP-based traffic graphs on your port. Now, I'm not sure if this one actually will have data. Well, yes, it does have data. And I can either show the data, since this is the physical port, it might have a peering service on it, might have a private VLAN on it, it might have other services. So I can either show the whole port, the traffic for the whole port, or I can just show the traffic levels for a specific service. So this is our own, one of our own services, and it will show you again, same as all of the other graphs. I can look at it over a different period. It will also give me access to any errors. So that's the errors that we see at our end. This is going to be, hopefully I won't see any. I wouldn't expect any, since especially I'm actually looking. So let's do the port again. There's no errors. I can separate it between unicast, multicast, broadcast packets. Again, I would expect that the majority of the traffic here is going to be unicast and a small amount of broadcast traffic across here. So again, so this is available for all of your services, either on a port level or on a per service level for really any of the service across any of the LINX ports. The second part, and again, we're an internet exchange after all, is the peers view. So again, when I started initially and showed you the traffic stats, I mentioned that we collect traffic stats in two different ways. It's SNMP based, so it's purely interface stats, and we collect NetFlow, IPFix, SFlow, whatever is the important one. So layer 2 traffic stats. Now, I'm not sure if for our own service, we'll see. I'll probably pick, I'll do a different way of doing it. But again, if you have multiple peering ports, so the way this works, it will list you your ports with your IP address and on which LAN they are, and then it will show you a list of peers. So, and that's peers where it has identified, as I said, it's layer 2 traffic. So the only thing we see, the only thing we look at is source MAC address, so your MAC address for traffic going from your port to another member port, destination MAC address. And obviously that means we can map your traffic based on peers. It's a very useful troubleshooting tool if you want to get much more visibility into your traffic, who you're peering with, who your large peers are. If you see any anomalies in the traffic, you can easily see it here. Again, the same functionality. If I can either search. Well, we don't seem to. Again, this is our. It's kind of not necessarily real data, but I can search by name. I can search by AS number. I can search by anything that's really in there, and identify them. And by selecting them, we'll see the traffic. And it's not real data. I'll show you another example in a second. And it's quite flexible. If you have multiple ports, you have multiple ports on LAN 1. You can combine it. You can search for a certain peer here, select that peer, go to another port, search for the same peer, select it, and it will give you a combined graph. And just to give you an example that actually works. So in this case here, so we're looking at a real member, which are not gonna a random member. So we have some real traffic graph here. In this case, so it's from that member to Zscaler as an example. But again, so I said I took the example of Zscaler. So you can see here in this case, so Zscaler are connected with two different ports on LAN 1. In this case, this member has peering sessions with both, so I can select both. It will give me the graph, and actually quite interesting, quite a nice sharing between the the two ports. I can also enable the additional aggregate view on it. I can then decide to turn the individual ones off. So there's quite a lot of flexibility in the way these graphs work, and really allows you to get a very good insight and do quite a detailed analysis of your traffic across your peering lands. The same way you can combine peers on different peering lands to compare the traffic that you exchange with them across the different peering lands, and so on. So quite a lot of, especially for engineers, quite a lot of useful information in there. You've seen in here it allows you to sort the table either by your average in, average out, or the combined, or the count in, count out, which might be more important if you are looking troubleshooting anything that's happening currently, or the maximum in, maximum, so peak values over the period. So quite a lot of information there. So all of your traffic details, your port details, your service details, you can find there. Now, we don't offer only peering service, we offer a number of other services. Again, a lot of improvements have happened over the past couple of months on these ones. So if you're using private VLANs, if you're using closed user group, Cloud Connect, this area will give you that additional insight into these services. Again, these are internal services, but it doesn't really matter for, as an example here. So this is an example of a private VLAN service, the type of information that you would see for any of these services. You have a visual view of the service. The same way if you're using closed user group services, these are some again internal service, but again you get a visual view of it, direct access to the stats. And the same way, I don't think there is any here if using Cloud Connect, meaning ExpressRoute, AWS Direct Connect, you will get your visibility here. And if you're making use of the Azure peering service, again you will get visibility of those. And we're going to run out of time, so I'm going to be very quick. Colocation, if you have colocation services from us, these services would show up here, would show you the racks, the locations, and so on, and it will show you a list of all of the reseller cabling, i.e. cross connects to those colocation racks that we provide you in the different locations. They would all be here, and it gives you direct access to these services. There was one small thing that I probably want to mention, i.e. if we're talking about closed user group. Again, closed user group, for those who don't know it, it basically gives you your own private layer 2 instance between you and a number of other members. Whoever is the owner of that closed user group can invite other members to connect into his closed user group, and that's a function, again, that's available through the portal. You can basically invite another member to connect into your closed user group. I'm going to quickly talk about orders in a second. Just a very quick view. We mentioned very earlier private interconnect, PI service. Again, this area has been improved quite a bit over the recent couple of months. So it now gives you direct visibility into your bundles of fiber. So that's the bundles between you and us. And on each bundle, again, these are our own services, so probably not necessarily the best data to show, but it gives you an example. So it will show you the individual pairs of fiber in each bundle, and it will show you to where they are connected. As I said, these are internal services, so they don't necessarily show you real data here, but it will show you which of your fibers in each of the bundles have available ports that you can use, or if not, if they are connected, I will show you to where they go, so who the other member is at the other end of that pair of fiber. So quite a big improvement to what was available before in these services. You can now access that straight away through the portal. For the very last few minutes, just a quick quick mentioning of the order pages itself. So the portal is the main place where you can order services on any of our services, really. Again, separated between anything that's around ports, so what we now call port-based services. That's your peering service, it's private VLAN, closed user group, Cloud Connect, or your peering services that you can order from here. By now it's a completely guided process. You start off with selecting your bandwidth that you want for the service. If you want a new port or if you want to use an existing port to deliver this service, and it will guide you through the whole process of ordering it. Once you select, in this case, if I select a new port, just to give a quick example, I do LAN 1, I've selected 10 gig. It will automatically show you the pricing as you go along, as you order your services, complete the order. It gives you all of the information, guides you through it. The hint here, if you want to edit an existing service, I'm gonna show a quick example in a second before we end it here. But the same is true for most of the services. They are by now completely guided. They are integrated with our automation platform at the back end. There is it will, once you place an order, the portal will show you the current status of your order. It will show you if it's a new port, if it's currently with the NOC, or if it's a logical service only, if it's a private VLAN on an existing port. It will probably get configured pretty much immediately through our config automation on the network. But the portal will keep you up to date on through the whole process, and whether we're waiting on you for the next step, i.e. if it's a new physical port, we will allocate the port, and basically the portal will hand it back to you to confirm once you have ordered your cross connect and so on. So it's all a guided process through the portal by now. And on the main orders page, it will show you an update, and I can show you just as a last thing, I can show you probably a quick example. So this is our internal test platform. So just examples of orders as you can see, so it will guide you through the process. You can at any point go back and see the individual steps that have occurred. So it's quite evolved quite a lot over the past year or two on the functionality that's there for ordering new services. The same way, if you want to order PI, you can do that through here. Co-location is actually not an order; it's requesting a quote. Your cabling, if you're a co-location user, is all happening through this part. And I think that brings us to pretty much the end of the time that we have allocated so far. I could probably continue going on and talk about many other things, but I think, let me see, there's a question from Kevin. Mentioned that he only found the peers information yesterday. So the direct, currently we don't make the flow-based statistics available through an API. I know there are some efforts from some other exchanges to export that information. It's certainly something that we're looking through LINX API. You can get your SNMP-based information. You can get that through LINX API. The flow-based, your peers information, you can't at the moment get that through an API at this point in time. And I think with that, I'm gonna stop sharing and see if we have time for one or two questions, if there are any others. If not, I think that's as far as we can go today.